Everton are emerging from Liverpool's spending shadow. Everton are emerging from Liverpool's spending shadow. The Toffees are the biggest spending English club in 2017, but the Belgian is wanted at Old Trafford by Jose Mourinho. These are heady and unprecedented times for Everton fans. After all, it was only a few years ago that a disgruntled Toffee created a webpage simply featuring a clock counting the many hundreds of days since the club had paid money for a first-team player. Back then, as the Blues battled through enforced austerity and the stagnating tenure of David Moyes, supporters were reduced to celebrating the enthusiasm of the limited Dennis Stracularcy or the finger-pointing industry of the one-dimensional Phil Neville in lieu of genuine talent on the field. The song might say that we don't care what the red side say, but living in the shadow of Liverpool's superior wealth has not been easy for Evertonians, even if we have been given plenty of amusement by the Reds' propensity to throw away a small nation's GDP on failed signings like Andy Carroll, Christian Bentke and Lazar Markovic over the years. Those days of desperate deadline day scrambles at Everton for loan signings and cast-offs was a far cry from the almost surreal events of the past 3 weeks, which have seen Everton splash out north of £80 million on some exciting signings. Potential England stars of the future in the form of Jordan Pickford and Michael Keane have been acquired for what could eventually be £60 million combined. Dutch international and ex-Ajax skipper Davy Klaassen arrived for £24 million, Spanish U21 starlet Sandro Ramirez was snapped up for just £5.2 million, while Arsenal target Henry Onyekuru was bought for £6.8 million and loaned out to Anderlecht for the season. Add in the £30M plus spent in January on Morgan Schneiderlin and Ademola Lookman and you have Everton as the biggest spending club in world football so far this year. Amazingly, the spending probably isn't over yet, and that's not to even mention the £300 million stadium project that promises to deliver the Toffees a brand new stadium on the Liverpool waterfront by 2022. It's been a dizzying transformation under new major shareholder, Farhad Moshiri, who only came on board 17 months ago, and it has got Evertonians dreaming of a long-overdue return to football's top table, mixing it up once more with the domestic game's elite for top honours. Having the funds is one thing, but the streamlined effectiveness with which Everton have got their business done now that Moshiri and his man on the board, Sasha Ryazantsev, have got their feet under the table has been stunningly impressive. While the smart money would go on the likes of Manchester United, Chelsea, Tottenham, and the rabble across Stanley Park eventually getting some serious business done before the transfer deadline, the Toffees have led the way this summer, eclipsing even Manchester City's confident early dealings with the scale of the improvements made to their squad. That speed and smoothness of action has been necessary. Everton returned to serious action as early as 28 July when the first leg of their Europa League qualifier rolls around, and with it the opportunity to qualify for the group stage of a competition that offers a route into the Champions League. Having 4 signings who will form the spine of the team this season in the door by the first day of pre-season means that Ronald Koeman and his coaching staff will have the maximum amount of time in which to prepare for that first step on the road to Lyon and then the big Premier League kickoff beyond that. Not everything has been settled, of course. There is still the long-simmering Romelu Lukaku situation, which looks now as though it will finally be resolved, with United seemingly close to tempting him away. A year ago, Lukaku's future would have been the focal point of Everton's summer, a frustrating thorn in the side that needed to be resolved one way or the other, with the club itself seemingly holding the weakest hand, before any real plans could be made for the campaign ahead. That Moshiri and his team have reduced the Lukaku issue to a relative afterthought this summer is testament to the financial muscle and pulling power that the British-Iranian businessman has been able to bring to Goodison Park. That's not to say that Lukaku wouldn't be a vital component in Koeman's team going forward if he stayed, or that his goals won't be difficult to replace. After all, he was the first Everton striker to score more than 20 league goals in a season since Gary Lineker registered 30 in 1986. However, his plain-talking admission this year that he is ready for the Champions League and that staying at Goodison isn't an option if he is to pursue it has turned many Evertonians off. The mantra that no name on the back of the jersey is bigger than the one on the crest on the front has been bandied about a lot in recent weeks, and many fans just want the saga to end. It would be ironic if Lukaku were to leave Everton before the very season in which they finally realized the Champions League dream that both parties so badly seek. Given the strength and resources of the teams that finished above them in the top 6 last season, that might still prove to be on the Toffees this term despite the strides made in the close season thus far. They are, perhaps, better placed than they have been for a long time, though, and could be poised if any of that group falter. And ultimately that's all the fans want for the club to be properly run and to have a proper go at competing with the best. In any case, with Moshiri on board, newfound financial security, a foundation of young players being built, and a new ground on the horizon, this could be just the beginning of Everton's renaissance.